This is Never Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation?
What is up, Cowboys Nation? How is everybody doing on this fine Thursday night? I hope you're here in the chat, ready to chop it up, talk some Dallas Cowboys football, free agency, and other. Tonight, we got a special guest, my former co-host, MC Megan. You guys know her as the MC, the sassy voice of Twitter. So without no further ado, let me bring my girl on here. What's up, Megan? How are you doing tonight?
Good. I'm so happy to be back. It's been so long. I love it.
It has. It's been a very long time, but we're kind of like, we always hit it right back off like we've never left. I'm sure tonight will be no different. So are you excited to talk some Cowboys football?
For sure. I'm so excited. It's been so long.
It has been a very long time, and there's been a lot of things happening on, just all over with Cowboys Nation. You've got free agency, got a lot of things going on. Wanted to lead off the show, though, talking about a guy that's actually no longer on the team. Somebody that's near and dear to all of our hearts was Ezekiel Elliott. No longer with the Dallas Cowboys. He ends up as the third leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys at 8,200 yards, 68 touchdowns. I mean, Zeke was a workhorse for the Dallas Cowboys throughout his career, through the 7 years that he was with the Cowboys. Obviously, a business decision on the Cowboys' part to part ways with Ezekiel Elliott. I think he definitely will be missed, but it's a business. The NFL is a cruel business sometimes, and business decisions have to be made. But I do have the Ezekiel Elliott jersey here back in the background. But just talking about Zeke real quick, what do you have a favorite memory of Ezekiel Elliott during his time that kind of stands out to you? A favorite game, something that stands out?
I think for me, like his entire rookie year, like when him and especially when Dak took over, just like the instant chemistry that they had, like right off the bat, that you could tell, like they are best friends on the field and off the field. So I think what sticks out in my mind is that season where we just kind of took off and everyone really saw their chemistry. Definitely have to mention the Salvation Army kettle. Like that will forever. I mean, that's his trademark, right? Like anyone else after that was after the Zeke leap. Just him being a freight train, him just plowing through, just his charisma on and off the field. Really, it's going to be greatly missed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and he was a good teammate. You never heard anybody talking bad about Zeke. I heard Dak talking earlier today, or it might have been yesterday, that they talked to him, asking him about the Zeke thing. Obviously, he was pretty emotional, called him said that was his brother. So it's tough. It's tough like that. Dak said he couldn't imagine, taking the field without him. And, crazier things have happened. Maybe at some point down the line, maybe Zeke ends up, back on this Dallas Cowboys squad. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but yeah, I mean, for me, I would have to say one of the games that stands out for me is the Pittsburgh Steelers game, that game where we came from behind. Ezekiel Elliott had the 2 touchdown runs, the one to put us on top, and then Ben Roethlisberger goes right back down the field, scores. Cowboys get the ball back, and with 9 seconds left, Zeke just busts up the middle, touchdown to seal the game with 9 seconds left. He was just he was an ultimate workhorse, and I mean, really, he sacrificed his body for this team. I know there's a lot of fans out there that towards the end were, saying that he was washed and saying that, this and that. But, his last 2 years he played injured. And that obviously shouldn't be something that should be dismissed. because I mean, he's one hell of a guy. I don't know where he ends up, but obviously we're all gonna wish him luck, and still root him on. So just starting off the show, we wanted to say a thank you to Zeke. So I know you got yourself a little drink here. We're gonna do a little toast to Zeke. Zeke, wherever you go, hey man, we're rooting for you. Good things, man. To Ezekiel Elliott.
Thank you. Cheers.
Woo, that went down nice. All right. Well,
Ooh, I haven't done that since one of our shows. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I said, Kelly, I hope you guys drink on this show because me and you used to throw them back. So cheers to that.
Yeah, we used to. I mean, sometimes the show is kind of going a little bit off the rails sometimes because might have had a little bit too much to drink. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's talk some free agency. Obviously, there's been some moves around with free agency. We re-signed Van Der Esch. We re-signed Donovan Wilson. Pollard got the tag, and then we bring in Gilmore on a trade. Not a lot of people were expecting that, but I think a great move that bolsters the secondary for sure. So of these moves, which one of them has you kind of the most excited out of all the guys that we brought back or brought in? What's kind of got you excited about this?
So this is kind of, I don't want to say contradictory, but I think that kind of going back a little bit to the whole Zeke thing, like it wasn't something none of us wanted to see it, but I think we all kind of knew it was coming. I think that it was a wise business decision. I think that giving Pollard the tag was a wise decision as well. I think that he's, kind of passing the torch, I guess you could say. So I like that move. I like the Gilmore move. I didn't see that coming, but not mad at it. I will definitely do that. I mean, overall, I can probably say that the start to this free agency has impressed me more than probably the last 3 years. I don't know. I think I would like to see some offense be built in free agency, but so far I don't think I really have any complaints.
Yeah, and it's been one of those things where we have, the Cowboys typically are in a stagnant state, shall we say. I know last year there was a lot of people that were upset that we just weren't really doing anything. It just seemed like we kind of we like the guys we have. We're due diligence. You got Jerry over there. You're wondering what the hell are these guys doing? And this year they started off with a bang. Nobody was expecting the Gilmore trade, which and let me just say for those people out there, those few Cowboys fans that I saw that were saying Gilmore is washed. If you think Gilmore is washed, you need to go back and not even look at the tape. Just look at his numbers from last year. Gilmore was ranked right up there. He was actually ranked better than Jalen Ramsey was. So for all you that think Jalen Ramsey is a great corner, or even Darius Slay, I mean, he was right up there as one of the top cornerbacks in the league. And he's not coming in here to be our number one. He's coming here to be our number two. So
I'm convinced that Cowboys Nation just likes to use the term washed when they just don't want to, when they don't want to see somebody. I don't think that a lot of they know what that means. I mean,
yeah,
I disagree. I'm with you on that.
I agree. I agree. And and to go back to your point about putting some offense, I'm right on board with you. I'm hoping that the next domino to fall here in free agency is getting a wide receiver. We'll get into that a little bit later about who's out there and who we may want. But yeah, I agree with you. When these guys are talking about washed, that is an overused term. And I feel like that some Cowboys fans, not all of them, but some Cowboys fans just love to see the world burn. They're never going to be happy. We could go out right now and we could sign somebody else, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins or, trade for Hopkins, sign OBJ. There's going to be people out there that are going to complain about it. They're not going to be happy with it.
For sure.
They're not happy when they're mad when we're not doing anything. They're mad when we're doing it stuff one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced that there's a significant part of Cowboys Nation that just finds comfort in misery. Like they just love being pissed. Like, they say that you find some comfort in anger and misery. So I think that there are some people in this fan base that qualify for that. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got this. Got a comment from Doug here. He says Gilmore and Diggs will be a great duo, and I agree.
Agree.
That is going to be a great duo. I mean, like I said, you've got a guy in Gilmore that in my opinion is a number one cornerback in my opinion. I mean, he's right there with any of them that are out there. I think he's good. I think people just tend to look at his age. I think he's 32 years old, but I mean, that doesn't mean anything. He had a solid season last year. He had a good season the year before. So, age doesn't mean that that all of a sudden you're going to start, you're going to start falling off. So I think that's going to be a great defensive duo for me. If I'm going to go outside of that, I'm going to say Donovan Wilson. I really, I love the Gilmore thing, but Donovan Wilson, the safety position for the Cowboys has been something, in my opinion, has been neglected since Darren Woodson. It just felt like the Cowboys never really wanted to address that. They've always kind of been kicking the tires on some older veterans. They bring guys in for like a 1 or 2 year deal, and it's just not, it's just not something that you like to see. So I don't know. I've got, it's one of those things where I'm glad that they addressed the safety position. I'm glad that they, that they finally did something there. And Donovan Wilson was our leading tackler last year. The guy's out there like a freight train running around like a man possessed. So I think it's nice to have him back on the defense, but you're right. I mean, I think that it will be, it's nice to see them adding some pieces and re-signing some guys on the defense, but now we need to see what the Cowboys are going to do on the offense. So getting into the offensive side of the ball a little bit, there is some free agents out there still to be had, but obviously the big thing that people just seem to be talking about is, are we going to make a trade for a wide receiver? They're talking about Jerry Jeudy, who is out there with the Denver Broncos. They may be shopping him. They've got DeAndre Hopkins is a guy who would have to be traded for. You've got OBJ who's on the free agent market. Last I checked, unless he's been signed recently, I don't think he has been, but he had a workout for about 13 teams. So do you have somebody that's out there in free agency that you think that the Cowboys should go after? And, and if so, why?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious answer here is DeAndre Hopkins. I know that there was speculation about OBJ last season, a little bit. I don't know. I don't think that's a good move in my opinion. I think DeAndre Hopkins, I would love to see him signed. I think that would be a really impressive duo. I think that he would mesh well with the team. I think he would mesh well in the locker room. OBJ, I don't know. I'm iffy on that. Like talent wise, yeah, for sure. But he's a big personality to add to the locker room. And I know a lot of people like to say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean this or that, but it really does. Cause we don't see what goes on off the field, OBJ is too much. I want to say washed because I know that's what a lot of people refer to, and I'm not saying he's washed, but I think his whole personality at this point, I'm over it. He's washed. His personality's washed. We'll just say that. Jeudy, I wouldn't be mad about that. I think, and I still go back to this, like Des putting it. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but I said, and I'm sure a lot of other people did, but I was very vocal about this. When we got rid of Amari Cooper, I was like, we fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up. And we did. And I think that, what was it? Jerry even said, we fucked up. We fucked up. I'm not trying to get into our current lineup, but I mean, I don't think Lamb was ready for the one position. And I would like to see a seasoned wide receiver, a seasoned, successful, and level-headed wide receiver. That would be my ideal pick.
Yeah. Well, and I think the Cowboys definitely are going to have to address that wide receiver position. So we're talking about, they're talking about investing, in Dak Prescott. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be our quarterback, for the foreseeable future. You don't really have any other options out there anyway, and Dak's a guy that has proven through his time that, that he can lead this team to wins. Now, has he got it done in the postseason yet? No. Obviously, that's an area where he's struggled, but it's only year 7. He's done year 7. He's going into year 8. So, it's time to load back up. And you're right. For you guys that are out there watching or you're in the chat, it's definitely not a PG show, especially with my girl MC on here. She's going to definitely let it. Hey, no, listen, we let it fly. We let it fly. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, Jerry fucked up. We can say that. There's no
Okay,
FCC
I know
going
I
on
should
here. There's no FCC going on here, and nobody monitor our language. If we want to say the word fuck, we can say the word fuck, but we can say that. So listen, he messed up, fucked up, whatever, when he let Amari Cooper go. And it's not the first time. It's not the first time that our free agency is bungled up a situation. They did it when they released, they cut Dez and decided that Dez wasn't going to be here. So it's not the first time they've done that. Obviously, they need to, build. They need to put some weapons back around Dak. They didn't do him any favors last year when they shipped Amari off and didn't have a plan for it. They drafted a wide receiver in Jalen Tolbert, who really didn't see the field at all. So they kind of whiffed on that. Obviously, that story is not over yet. Jalen Tolbert may come around and be something. Maybe it just took him a little bit longer to learn the playbook. I'm not really sure. But as far as free agency wide receivers, I'd have to definitely say it's going to have to be a guy who's going to be an impact player. It's going to be somebody like DeAndre Hopkins is the guy I've got my eyes on. Obviously,
me too. But full disclosure, how likely do you think that actually is, though? Because I'll be honest, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, it's a big ask, honestly. I know that they said they're shopping for about they want a second round draft pick. Maybe you can get away with a 3. I'm not sure about that. But DeAndre Hopkins is 30 years old. He's going to be, his cap hit, I think, was going to be around $22 million this year. So obviously, if the Cowboys were to pull the trigger on something like that, you'd have to get somebody in there that, like it's going to restructure their contract. Obviously, you're going to get somebody that can restructure your contract. So, that's what we would have to do with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. But,
For sure.
yeah, I mean, it's if we had a guy, that I got my eyes on, obviously, it's somebody like that. But we still have the draft to go, and we can possibly address wide receiver in the draft. But which somebody had asked a question here out of the Dallas Cowboys. They asked, who are you expecting to make a leap next year? I guess basically, who on this team are you looking forward to seeing maybe have a bigger impact on the team, or just maybe make a leap?
I'm still kind of, and I know I think that Diggs is a lot more capable of what he did last year.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, I think his first year, killed it. Last year, but I feel like, he's settled, he's comfortable. Now he's got another, legit, hopefully solid, player in his position. I want to see him just ball the fuck out this entire season. I want to see, because I mean, come on, his interceptions, he was getting, he had triple coverage at some point. You know what I mean? He wasn't really given the opportunity to do what he was capable of, which, that's the other team was doing their job, right? But, I want to see him shine, because I know he's capable of it, and I know he's got it. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on Diggs. He's a phenomenal cornerback. He's a phenomenal quarterback. And when you get him some help on the other side of the field, I think you're going to have opposing offensive coordinators, quarterbacks who are going to be a little bit more hesitant to throw. They're going to be thinking about throwing that other way, because before, when it was just Diggs, they were going to be throwing, they're like, hey, let's just not throw towards Diggs. Let's throw to the opposite side.
Right.
The Cowboys got nobody
Exactly.
out there
right.
that can do anything. So
Yeah.
Mike Tag is joined the chat here. The boy Mike Tag that is he's off in Connecticut. He's enjoying some colder weather, because I'm pretty sure he wanted to get himself, acclimated to that cold weather since he's been in Florida. He wanted to feel how the other side lives up in Connecticut. But he says Sam Williams. I like that one. That's a good one right there. Samuel Williams was definitely, I mean, he he stood out this year. He had some leaps, also had a few, kind of boneheaded plays that he had a little bit at times where he kind of like, gets a little overly aggressive. But Sam Williams can be a guy on this defense that can step up and be, a dominant pass rusher. I'm definitely excited about him. Doug here in the chat says year 2 of Tyler Smith. Boy, did we hit a home run with Tyler Smith. You want to talk about, the offensive line and some of the struggles that we had on the offensive line, whether it's shuffling people around, having to move people on that offensive line. Tyler Smith is going to be a cornerstone of this offensive line. I mean, we got really lucky. You got Tyron Smith, another guy that was re-signed, by the way. But yeah, you got Tyler Smith that just took over that left tackle position and just never looked back. So, and speaking of that, let's Tyron Smith. He's another guy that got brought back. Now he's a guy that hasn't had a complete season, hasn't finished a season. And I believe it's been like 5, maybe 6 years now.
I was going to say, it's been a minute.
It's been a long time since he's played 17 games. Now I did see the contract. It looks like it's an incentive laden contract. Obviously it's one of those things where they're going to want him to, we lost you. I'm going to keep going here, but so it's an incentive laden contract where he's going to have to make some plays. He's going to have to, not just make some plays, but he's going to have to play some games. It looks like, something of that nature that they got him in. So I like it. I like having him back on the team because if he competes, like I think that he can compete, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. Looks like MC is having some technical difficulties. We'll bring her back on here in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to have depth at the O-line position. Obviously he's a great character guy. He's a guy that young guys can learn from, veteran leadership. It's just, you can't go away from that. So now, that's another thing is that you've got the Dallas Cowboys who are looking at, trying to rebuild that offensive line, here we go. We got you. Bringing you back in. Sorry. There you go. It's okay. We got technical difficulties. It's all right. Nobody's perfect. You disappeared. And,
sorry.
I thought maybe, Dak was calling on your phone. You had to answer.
That's actually exactly what happened. I got a call and it just froze. Yeah.
You just had to, I thought maybe you had to let him know. Dak, I'm on YouTube live right now. We're talking Cowboys in the Cowboys cave. Go and hit the like and subscribe button and watch us talk Cowboys.
No, that is what happened. Like I got a call and I went to like swipe up and then I was like, oh my God, it froze. Like you guys should have heard Kelly and I like trying to get this situated. It brought me back to like our podcast days. And I don't know if y'all know that like when we did Cowboys in Chaos, like Kelly was in his car recording from his phone. Like I literally sent him like headphones and stuff. I was like, dude, we can't. It was the most ridiculous setup ever. So that just brought me back.
Yeah. Well,
you'd be like, I can't hear you. Let me move up a little bit.
Like, look, when you want to talk about a podcast that was ground up, and from the ground, I mean like from bottom dirt, like that was us. Like, I'm sitting there drinking tall cans inside my car. You're over there getting drunk. We're saying we never really had a specific start time, and it was just kind of whenever we got going. And then when we did get going, hey, somehow we filled an hour every single time. It was always good content. But yeah, it might not have been the most professional thing. There was but I thought it was good. So hey,
what? I miss it though. That was a good time. Like
yeah. It absolutely was.
And you know what? Like full disclosure, before we move on, like we never like we would have like a like outline of the things that we would talk about, and then like Kelly and I just got so busy that we're like, all right, let's just go. And we winged the entire thing for the last probably 4 episodes, like done, and it was. Just worked.
Did you say the last 4 episodes? I think it was pretty much almost like the last 10 to 15 episodes. We were like the Eminem of podcasts because we just freestyled. We were just freestyling.
Mm-hmm.
We were freestyling, and it came across good, and people enjoyed it, and they liked it. We made people laugh.
Really did.
That's what counts. People were like, "Hey, this is interesting. It's a little something different."
This is interesting.
It's interesting. Interesting can be such a good word sometimes, but
right.
Yeah, Cowboys Fanatic said, got to shout out Tyron Smith for that restructure. Huge team player. I definitely agree with that. We're bringing Tyron Smith back on a team friendly deal. So you dropped out before when we were talking about that. So just touch on that as far as Tyron Smith, your thoughts of bringing him back and what he brings to the team, as a veteran player. Obviously, he's not going to be that left tackle position. They might be, swinging him over to the right tackle. But what does it mean to have a guy like that back on the team? Provided that, obviously we understand he's probably not going to be healthy for 17 games, but when he is healthy,
right,
he's, what does he bring to the team?
When he is healthy, he's amazing, right? Like when he is healthy, he's unstoppable. But as we all know, the problem is he's not healthy most of the time. And, at this point, I kind of just think that I have to think that they're kind of just keeping him around for like a leadership aspect, which I'm okay with. Like I get it. We need a veteran. We need someone who's been there, done that, and he has been. But I don't know. I just don't like the liability. It makes me nervous. Like hey, listen, I'm a huge Tyron Smith fan. But he's just not reliable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I hope that we signed him for a good deal. Like I don't want to take up a lot of cap space. I don't want to take up, a lot of the budget for him because he sits most of the season, let's be honest.
Well, and they brought him back on a very team friendly deal. It's got, there's a lot of incentives packed in there. I was talking about, I looked at that deal. It's a team friendly deal. So he is a, ultimate professional. He's a team player. He's doing things for the team. So good thing that we got him back. But the offensive line is somewhere that I think that the Cowboys are going to need to rebuild. Obviously, there's several points of the Cowboys team that needs to be better, that needs to be rebuilt. In my opinion, offensive line is definitely one of them. Outside of we got Tyler Smith, and then obviously we still have Zach Martin, Steady Eddie. But he's not getting any younger. So the offensive line, and then secondary was one that I was going to say was weak, but obviously with Gilmore, that's been boosted. And I think that's, we're looking really good there. With the guys that we got Deron Bland, Gilmore now and Diggs. I think that's a stout secondary with we got the safety out there and Donovan Wilson. We got Jaron Kearse. Like our defense, I think is good. I think we still need a little bit more help at defensive tackle. Obviously a good run stopper. But where do you see right now our biggest weakness on this Cowboys team? A need that's going to need to be addressed, because we've got a few areas obviously that are weaknesses. Which one do you see the biggest need?
So this is kind of a wild place to start, but hear me out. The kicker. I mean, goes into the secondary, but I'm going to throw it out specifically. Kicker.
That's a good one.
But this is crazy to me, because I think that, a couple of years ago, if you were to ask me this, I would have been like, we are set in this department. But our offense, I don't trust our offense as much as I wish I did. I wish, it's CD, love him. He's great. I'm not knocking him as a player. I'm not knocking his talent, but we just don't have the depth. We really don't. And it's crazy because a couple of years ago, remember, we thought we were set on that department. You know what I mean? And then we lost Amari Cooper, and then, the injuries. And I don't know. It's so crazy, because last year at this time, it was like defense. And now I really think that our offense needs to, Micah Parsons, let's be honest, he has helped flip our defense completely, 100%. I don't know. I want to see our offense have that same reliability. I do. So
well, yeah, I think what everybody in Cowboys Nation wants to see is we want to see this offense get back to what they looked like in 2016. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning, how Zeke, his rookie year, how him and Dak just took off, and never looked back. Went 13-3 that year. That offense was just humming. We ran the ball well. Obviously the defense wasn't very great in 2016. Proved to be our Achilles heel, in the playoffs against Green Bay. But offense is started to decline, and it started with the offensive line. When Travis Frederick retired, and Tyron Smith has had the injury issues and stuff, and we haven't had a whole lot of good luck at that. So I think, but I agree with you. As a whole, you've got your offense that's, and kind of, which is pretty amazing. I will say this: it's pretty amazing though because of the fact that, the Dallas Cowboys were one of the top offenses in the league this year, and did that with the wide receivers they had weren't very impressive outside of CeeDee Lamb. Gallup didn't come back and look like his self. He didn't have a great year. Looked like he was still recovering from that injury.
Yeah.
Offensive line was definitely, weak. I mean, our strength was really the, Tony Pollard and Zeke connection, but absolutely the O-line needs to be addressed and wide receiver needs to be addressed. We can't go into this season again without addressing that. Whether that's bringing in a veteran, which is what I think they need to do. I'm not really trusting the fact that we can draft a wide receiver and have him come in and make the kind of impact that we need in year one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they snag a stud in the first, or maybe they get one in the second that works out. But definitely need to address this offense. We're not doing any favors to Dak if we don't do that. That being said, Doug has actually got a comment here. He said lots of running backs in the draft, should be able to get one pretty easily. And so let's kind of speak on that. We are going to have to get a running back in this, whether it's in the draft or whether we try to go out and get somebody, maybe on the cheap, a veteran guy in free agency. What do you think about that? As far as a compliment to Tony Pollard, do you think that's how big of a need do you see that to get somebody in there? There's been questions about Pollard. Can he be the full-time back? Can he carry the load? Zeke is averaging about 240 to 260 carries a year for the last 2 to 3 years. Before that, he was up past 300. Do you think Pollard can be a guy that carries that kind of load, or do you think he's going to need some help? And do you think the Cowboys should address that early? Do you think they can maybe get one later, or do you think they should try to go out and maybe snag somebody in free agency? What's your thoughts on the running back position?
See, here's the thing. Like, Tony Pollard and Zeke have a completely different running style. I think we can all agree with that, right? So, I love Tony Pollard. I've been a fan of his for a while. I think he has great potential, but he can run his ass off for sure. But is he that powerhouse that we saw with Zeke that we're used to as, the starting running back? No. I think it is crucial that we find someone to complement that. I think that having both dynamics is very important. And at this point, like I said, I'm all for Tony. I'm here for it. I like him a lot. I think he's amazing. But we need someone who's going to, we need someone who's not only going to have the running, but have the power. And as much as I love Tony, I can't see him having that type of power that Zeke. He has some pretty big shoes to fill, let's be honest. I do think it's a pretty big priority, especially as much, running backs are injury prone, right? Yeah. So we need to have someone who, who's at least there, who's learning from someone like Tony, to be there when we need him. So I think it's a pretty big priority, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think when you look at some of the things that some of these other teams have done, I've heard some people talk about the running back from Texas, Bijan. If he falls to 26, I don't think he's going to fall to 26. I don't think he'll be there. But I just don't see the Cowboys needing to draft a running back in the first round. I think we have more.
No, not first round.
Yeah, no. not first round. You look around the league and you see a lot of these guys that have been drafted. The Pacheco from the Chiefs. You look at Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks. You can find running backs of good talent that can come in and that can make an impact. From day one. Right. And that's what I think we can do. I think we can find that in the later rounds. I think they'll address that through the draft. I don't think we'll go free agency. Fred over here says that we need someone to block for Dak the way Zeke did. I absolutely agree with that. That is one of the main things that gets overlooked, I feel like, a lot when we talk about the departure of Zeke. It leaves a big void out there. People talk about, Zeke being in the game a lot and how Zeke was in the game a lot. They thought that Pollard should be in more often. And while I love Pollard, Pollard is our lightning guy. He was not a great blocker, is not a great blocker. That's just not his game. So, we need to get a guy in there like that, because there was plenty of times that Zeke, saved Dak. Let's just face it. He saved Dak's ass, whether it be a, linebacker or a DB coming in, and he was a great blocker. KJ Rose says that Malik Davis is a strong back too. And that's right. We did see some of Malik Davis last year, and he didn't do bad when given the opportunities. I don't think he is your thunder to Tony Pollard's lightning. I could be wrong. Maybe they give it that chance, but I think they're going to address it through the draft. I think they'll address it through the and we'll see in training camp kind of where that goes. But obviously, that'll be that'll be something to be discussed. So, but Malcolm here says, what do you want to see for pick 26? So we've got the 26th pick in the first round. The Cowboys, draft skills. There's not a lot of people outside of Cowboys Nation that give the Cowboys a lot of credit for their draft, but we have drafted terrific, amazing throughout the years. When you talk about Will McClay and the job he's done a great job. What position would you like to see the Cowboys go at 26? A lot of ways that they can go, a lot of direction they can go. What would you like to see?
This is going to probably be the last response that any of you are expecting.
Don't say kicker.
No. I'm going to say quarterback.
You say quarterback?
Quarterback.
So a quarterback. Whoa! Hold on now. I hope Dak isn't watching the show right. Hold on. Let me see. Is Dak in the show right now? Is Dak in the show right now? She said,
"Listen."
Okay. The floor is yours. The stage is yours.
Listen.
You just dropped the mic. A nuclear bomb on Cowboys Nation. Let's go.
I know.
Okay.
So hear me out, right?
Okay.
I think that it's really easy for especially me to I like to draft with my feelings quite a bit. Although we can talk about our fantasy football league later, because I didn't do that this year and I won, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I think with Zeke leaving, I think that it should kind of be a wake-up call for Cowboys Nation that we need to start thinking about the future, right? So right now, like, who's our backup? If God forbid Dak were to be injured again, I think we need to start thinking about the future, not even necessarily from a backup if he were to get injured, but a learning standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, I think that really, as far as like our backups go, like, we don't really have someone who's learning, who's new to the game, who's fresh, who should be taking in what he's watching. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, we need someone to back up Dak in the near future, but I'm saying we need to start looking at the future, because really it's not that bright in that position if you think about it. And hey, if anyone knows me, I am the biggest Dak fan on this entire planet.
I mean, you're wearing a number 4. You're wearing a number 4 tee right now. So I don't question that. I don't question that.
So what I would love to see is that we draft a quarterback. He learns from Dak. He watches Dak. Dak mentors him. Like, just imagine, I'm thinking of like I don't know. And I don't even like either one of these players that I'm about to use as an example, but I'm thinking of like a Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation. You know what I mean? Like, let's get one quarterback through to like a successful Super Bowl season era, and then have another one in line. I think that's what we need to start planning for.
So here's the thing. You shocked the shit out of me.
I know.
If there was a heart monitor on me, you would have seen it. Beep, 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 it would have went wacky to wackety whack. But
I know.
That's definitely a different way that I did not think you were going to go. But I want to respond to that because listen, I, as many know, was very critical of Dak at the end of this year. Very critical. I was upset. Oh my gosh, I think we lost MC again. I was very, very critical. Oh, you're right back. I was very critical of Dak this year. Very critical, and I was upset that. I was upset at the way that I felt like he came up short in the playoffs. I felt like it was the second year in a row that he just did not play the greatest. Now, there's a lot of factors that you can take in that, whether you talk about the wide receivers, you talk about the offensive line, you talk about the things that we have not been able to get into. But, hold on here, though. We're gonna hold the phones here. We got my man Mike Tag joining the show here.
Man.
MC with some more technical difficulties with her phone. We'll wait for her to get back on. But I don't know if you've just seen her drop the bomb on us. She said she wanted the Cowboys to draft a quarterback at number 26 pick. Let's talk about that, man. Here we go. Here
wow, I love her, and I'm telling you, is she there? I wanted to hear this, and I'll get out of your hair because I'm in the mountains. But
she's here. There she is. MC, we got. Oh, she's having all kinds of difficulties.
MC, what do you think with the Cowboys? Oh, she's probably the power off. So we'll see. I'm not against. You can make an argument. You should draft a quarterback every year, but you're not going to draft him in the first round. We've got too much invested in Dak. I think we got to ride. I think we're going down with the ship, or we're going to hold a Lombardi with him. I think we're in too deep, as they say.
I agree. I'm gonna see if we can get her back on here. MC, are you with us, Megan? Are you? She's having a tough time here. So
she broke
when she said that. She's
thing, man.
She did. She blew it up. There she is again. All right, let's bring her back in here.
I am so sorry. I keep getting a call, and I told my daughter to text and tell me it's Talkin. Okay. Oh my God.
Hey,
now Mike's gonna yell at me. Oh my God.
No, listen. We got Mike on here. Mike, you gotta wait. You have to listen. Here's what he said. He wasn't yelling at you, but he heard you. You broke the internet. Mike had to step in here from out there in Connecticut. Go ahead, Mike.
MC, first of all, I just want to say, seeing you two together makes me happy. You guys were my morning drive when you guys did Kelly that, and I probably told you definitely she's gone again, but it's good to see each other. And again, support for Cowboys. Kelly and I got a lot of great fun. So I want love fest. Man.
Your connection's getting a little choppy there, Mike.
Okay, wait. So last I heard is I broke the internet. What happened?
Well, you got Mike on here. He's a little bit choppy. He's gotten some poor. It looks like his connection's not too good. So he popped in. He popped in, and he was basically, here we go. Let's see if we can get him back on here. All right, let's see if we got you back on here, Mike. Oh, he's frozen. Well, so we're just having all kinds of we're having all kinds of technical difficulties. Mike's. He's frozen. He said, "All I hear is Fred Jones." He's frozen. Well, basically, what he said was he was saying that he said that he thinks that you should definitely draft you could draft a quarterback. He just didn't think that we'd have to draft him that early. So I wanted to address that as well because I thought to myself, listen, as I said, I've been very critical of Dak, but obviously, I thought we should draft a quarterback. I just thought maybe within the first 4 rounds. I didn't necessarily think round 1 just because I think there's too many other glaring needs, whether it be wide receiver, whether it be running back, whether it be an offensive line. I think Dak is still the guy right now with enough talent to get this team. And it's not that you're saying it not. I just think that we need to help him by getting something now. Now, if you want to get a quarterback in one of the later rounds, obviously do it. But hey, listen, when the Philadelphia Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, they had, and they had Carson Wentz, and he was not doing that bad at the time. And he hadn't had his great fall off yet. There was a lot of Cowboys Nation that was clowning the Philadelphia Eagles about it. And I mean, it worked out great for him. You look at it, they got a quarterback in the second round. He took him to the Super Bowl.
Right. Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out, right? Like you say, I want a wide receiver who's a leader, who's a veteran, but yet you say you want to draft one in the first round?
Well, no, me personally, I'd like to go offensive line. If we're talking about what I want at 26, I either want an offensive lineman or I want a DT. I want a big old 310-pound triple cheeseburger eating, French fry gravy dripping off his chin, ready to maul some son of a bitches and stop the run up in the middle of that defensive line. If I have my way, that's what I want. I want offensive line. I want defensive line. I want to rebuild the trenches on this team because that's where you win. And listen, if the Cowboys went quarterback, my only problem with that is that I don't think there's really any quarterbacks right now that I would want in the first round. I mean,
yeah,
not that's going to be there available at 26. Now, if we had maybe a top 5 pick, and even then I'm probably still going to be like, hey, I want one of them guys that can maul in the middle. I just don't think that there's any quarterback that I could see the Cowboys I could justify us taking in the first round. So while I do understand the concept, I do think that, we probably should build for the future. I just don't think that maybe is the pick that we go right now. Mike chimes in and says, sorry, I'm in the woods. It's great to see you two back together. Great show. He did say that he said that it warmed his heart to see us back together. And he did say that he used to listen to us on his morning drive
to work every day. Yes. And I was like,
work.
what? Mike Tag listens to us? I had no idea.
Yeah. And so, he was a guy that listened to us. So,
thank you for letting me be on the show. I appreciate it. I do.
Yes. Hey, we love having you. And one of these times soon, we're going to have to get you on where it's me, you, and Mike. So that,
Yes.
it can be all three of us on the show. You definitely bring the butts to the seats. I mean, the chat's been on fire all night tonight. Everybody's in here. They're excited to see you. Oh. It's like the band's back together. It's like we just reunited. I don't know. What's a band that's been gone for a long time that would get people excited if they reunited? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I don't really know of any bands. I'm usually a solo artist type of guy, but can you think of any bands?
Yeah, me neither.
No, I can't think of, either way, I digress. But so, yeah, at 26, I'd like to see, go ahead. I see something with wheels turning.
Yeah, no, because back up real quick, because what I was going to say is, do you not remember the draft pick that Dak was?
Exactly. Fourth round draft pick. Mike says,
I'm just saying, we have a habit of finding a diamond in the rough, so you say, oh, there's no one that I would really pick to, have that selection, whatever. But I don't know. What we've been doing has not been working, right?
Well, maybe not with pick 26 in the first round is all I'm saying. I'm not saying we can't draft
a quarterback.
I'm not saying we can't draft a quarterback. I just don't know that there's one. And hey, listen, maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Listen, I knew I was going to light Cowboys Nation on fire when I said that.
Listen, if we can do a cut and clip of that and drop that on Twitter, oh my goodness, you're definitely going to get some. You're definitely going to get some. You stirred the pot, though. And that's what we like to do. We're sitting here. We don't want somebody to come on the show and just roll with the punch, agree with everything I say. I want you to come in here and bring some heat and bring some hot topic. That's a hot button topic right there.
That is
the last thing I would have expected from a Dak loving number 4 wearing in the Cowboys cave MC is you being quarterback of the number 26 pick.
And I want to make one thing clear, right? So just so I'm not active on Twitter, don't mean that I'm not there. Okay. I see everything and I listen and I know what's going on. And I don't know. I had to that's been brewing in my mind. I may not be vocal about it because I'm not as vocal as I used to be on Twitter.
Well, you got to
But
bring
yeah.
that back. That's what everybody fell in love with you about. They love the way that you're vocal about
No.
things. They
And
love
I'm
you
still
being
the same person. I just
outspoken. I mean, isn't that the header in your Twitter? You're outspoken.
shamelessly outspoken. Yes.
Shamelessly outspoken. I mean, come on now. You can't be outspoken. Look, Cowboys Fanatic said you had him shook. Mike says at 26, best player available. That's really the route that I want to go. Best player available. So whether it be a running back, whether it be a wide receiver, whether it be a defensive tackle, let's go with the player that's going to best help improve this team. Because let's face it, there's several areas on this team that needs improvement. See, Cowboys Fanatic said you had him shook. You're shaking people. You're shaking people.
That's what I love to do.
You've got people.
Love it.
It's probably the drink that's in her cup, guys. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw there for everybody in the chat, but Megan's got something in her cup, but I don't think it's Kool-Aid that she's drinking in there. But
Guess we will never
I'm just
know.
saying, maybe that's what it is. You know, sometimes the whiskey gets you saying things. But no, seriously though, this Cowboys team definitely. You know, they've got areas of weaknesses, but it was a playoff team last year. It's a team that won 12 games. It's a team that back-to-back years won 12 games. Kellen Moore is no longer with us. We've got a new way that we're rolling with this. Exactly. I think that's prayers. The Cowboys Nation has answered prayers. We've been asking for it. Now we have it. What do you see from this Dallas Cowboys team going into the 2023 season? What's your outlook? Obviously, there's still a lot of things to go down. We still got the draft. We're not done with free agency. We could still have more trades. But what's your perspective from this team? Do you think this team still has a Super Bowl window? And do you think that they can compete and win a Super Bowl within the next couple of years and be competitive, possibly for one this year?
Listen, I think that this is the most frustrating thing about this team for the last probably, I'm going to say at least last year, right? I think that we are absolutely a Super Bowl team. I think that the talent is there. It's the execution that kills us every single time, right? Like we end up being our own worst enemy every time in every situation when it comes to the offseason, or not the offseason, the like postseason. You know, I don't really think it's a matter of talent anymore. Like, yeah, there are some areas where we absolutely need to build our depth and, you know, obtain some more talent, but I want to see the mindset. I want to see the consistency. Consistency is what kills me with this team. Like, we can go against a, you know, number one in their division, whoop their ass like it's our job, right? Next thing you know, we're losing against the fucking Bears or the Jets. You know, like it's the consistency for me. So, like, do I think we're a Super Bowl team? Hell yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know.
Skeptical.
Of course I'm skeptical.
Listen,
I think we're all skeptical.
I
think we're all used to getting our hopes up. I think we're all used to being like, oh yeah, this is our year, you know, like we're building our roster. We have the number one offense in the league. And then
so I mean, I use the term skeptical optimism. And the reason I use that is because I look at myself as being an optimist. But I'm also a guy that's skeptical. I've been watching this Dallas Cowboys franchise now for a very long time, and it's been a very long time since the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Last time they won a Super Bowl, your boy barely had fuzz on his peaches. Been a goddamn minute. So, you know, let me just say this. I think that the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl window is open still. I think this is a talented team. I think they need to make the right moves. They need to shore up some weaknesses. But what I will say about this team that has impressed me, you know, a lot of people don't really give Mike McCarthy some credit. There's a lot of people that don't. Listen, first time that this team has went back-to-back seasons and won back-to-back 12 games, back-to-back seasons, right? Not only that, won a playoff game. I get it. It was against Tom Brady, whatever. It was still against, you know, still against Tom Brady. It was on the road. He won a playoff game. But here's the thing that has impressed me most about him is when he took over this team, the first couple of years, this team, you know, and this was something we saw dating back to Jason Garrett, was this team was a penalty-ridden team. Penalty, very undisciplined team. Very undisciplined, right? I don't know if you noticed, but this year, definitely towards the back half of this season, those penalties started to go away. This team started to be a more disciplined team. I think in that playoff game against the Niners, I think we only committed like 2 or 3. I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't very many penalties. Penalties was not one of the reasons we lost. You know, you look back at some of the games in years past, penalties was shooting us in the foot. And I agree with you. Consistency is one of those things. Because like you said, you can go in there and you can beat a team senseless, you know, like we did against the Philadelphia Eagles. Say what you want about when them not having Jalen Hurts. We still dropped 40 on that vaunted defense that they had. But then we sit there and we lose to, Heineke and the fucking Commanders. You know what I mean? It's consistency with this team. So if we can get that consistency, if we can get those pieces, those weak pieces, we can start shoring those up, which I think they've done that with the secondary already. I think they're making strides with this defense. I think this defense is going to be better, take a step up, and that will be great to see. But I definitely think that, this team's Super Bowl window by no means is closed. As long as you got a guy like Dak, who's a franchise quarterback, if you put the talent around him, I mean, look at Jalen Hurts. Last year, the year before last, didn't do a damn thing. The guy looked shell-shocked. Everybody was talking about this dude ain't no quarterback. Then what do? They go out and get him a great wide receiver to put opposite Devontae Smith, and the guy fucking balled out. Great offensive line, good run game, 2 great receivers. That's what happens when you put playmakers around your quarterback, and that's what the Dallas Cowboys got to do. They do that. Super Bowl window is absolutely opened. Yeah, and I mean your opinion real quick on Mike McCarthy. I feel he gets some heat from people. I feel that undeservedly so. I feel like that he's done a really good job since he's come to this Dallas Cowboys, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just don't give him the credit that is due. And I think he's done a great job. What do you think about Mike McCarthy in this and him as our head coach?
I am all team Mike McCarthy. I think that, can we all please remember that our head coach was Jason Garrett formerly? Like, I think we seem to forget that. I think that a lot of people expected, I think we all expected an immediate, Super Bowl, like Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl. Now we're going to get one. Like, no, there's obviously an adjustment period, right? Yeah. Like, you're obviously coming into a whole new organization. Okay. Like, you're changing things up, you're building your team, there's going to be an adjustment period. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that. I love Mike McCarthy. I love that he gets vocal. I love that he gets pissed off. I love that we see emotion from him. Is it always in the right time, in the right place? Who cares? At least he cares. You know what I mean? Like, at least we can see that he gives a shit. Yeah. I think that his time management, whatever, I think it's improving.
Yes,
I can say that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, and again, it comes back to an adjustment. You can't expect an immediate, amazing, successful first season from someone who came. Well, first of all, he wasn't even a coach for, was it how many years that he wasn't even in the league? I don't even remember.
He was out of the game. He was out of the game for a little while. I can't remember the exact years, but he was out for a little while.
But regardless of what he did prior to that, like, you can't expect immediate results, right? Like, it's a culture change. It's an organization change. So give him some slack, man. Like, I'm all for team Mike McCarthy. I think he's doing awesome. Does he piss me off now and then? Yeah. But what coach doesn't, right?
What coach doesn't. Exactly. Well, and I think what, one of the things that has always kind of miffed me a little bit about, a portion of the fan base, I won't say all of them, but a portion of Cowboys Nation is the impatience, right? Like you said, McCarthy has not been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys that long, okay? No. But they took over in 2020, so he's got 3 years under his belt right now, okay?
Mind you, he took over during a worldwide pandemic, okay?
Correct. So the first year is kind of a throwaway because that was one of the weirdest years that you could ever have.
Literally ever.
Right. So you've got all these people and they're talking about, Mike McCarthy this, Mike McCarthy that, and look, I mean, if you look at this team, if you look at the culture, if you look at the attitude of these players, you look at the toughness of these players, because last year against the 49ers, this team got bullied around. This year, that was not the case. We still lost that game, but we did not get bullied. We were on that field, and we looked like a team that belonged on that field. We made too many mistakes. Dak got a little too careless with the football at times when he shouldn't have got careless with the football. Cost us the game. But listen, this team, the mentality is changing with this team. They're getting cleaner. They're not committing a lot of penalties. it takes a while to change over, like you said, that culture. You've got Jason Garrett, who's like, we like our guys, the same old robotic responses. You got the same shit with Jason Garrett. It was like he was reading off a fucking script. Sometimes you just want some emotion from your head coach, some raw emotion. You want him to show that he gives a shit. And I feel like you get that with Mike McCarthy. I feel
100%.
like that he is turning this team, and I feel like he's getting us there. And I got all the faith in Mike McCarthy. I think he's going to do. I think he'll continue to do good. And and this is his year. This is year to come out and prove some things. You know what I mean? He's no longer under Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was given to him. He was an ingredient that Mike McCarthy didn't necessarily ask for in his chili. Mike McCarthy might not like tomatoes in his chili, but they gave him Kellen Moore and said, "You're going to make chili with this son of a bitch right here." This little Casey Affleck looking son of a bitch. But,
Right.
and he might not have really wanted that. We don't know how Mike McCarthy felt about Kellen Moore, but now since Kellen Moore left, you've seen some comments that lead you to believe there was a philosophical difference. I don't really know. I've been drinking a little bit too much whiskey. That might not be a word, but there's a little bit of a difference in the way that they approach things. And you see that.
I think if I had to predict, I think there was quite a bit of tension behind the scenes that we will never be aware of when it comes to those two. And like you said, he was handed him. He didn't really have a choice, So again, patience. We got this, I think I'm reading that comment. Gave too long of a leash to Kellen. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I think that, I think McCarthy kind of, in a sense, in his first 2 years has kind of read the room, if you will. You know what I mean? He's kind of felt it out. I don't know. Like I said, people expected an immediate Super Bowl because we had a new head coach, and it's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it. I love him.
Well, good. You know what? We have hit the 1 hour mark, and I swear to God, it went by just like that, just like it always does. We had no script. We didn't really know. We knew we were going to talk a little free agency, but listen, the people, they showed up in the chat. We got a guest appearance here by Mike coming all the way out from the backwoods. Not a lot of internet. I hope that it wasn't like some hillbillies, standing outside cutting off his internet, and that there's not people standing outside with axes and whatnot. He's out in the woods there, but we had a guest appearance by Mike. Everybody showed up in the chat. We had a lot of people that were just loving to see you here on the show. But let the people that don't know, because maybe there are a few people that don't know, where they can find you at on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? You got that memorized? Because it's pretty long.
Oh my God, I don't, because I had to get a new one because I got banned because of Cole Beasley.
Hold on now. Before we go right quick, for those that don't know, tell them a little bit about how did your Twitter get locked down by Cole Beasley? Let's tell that story real quick, because that's a pretty good one.
Okay, so I had my former Twitter account, right? It was VMC, and it was the only difference is there's a couple more E's or a couple less E's. I don't really know.
I'm looking it up. I'm gonna give it to him here in just a minute.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I despise Cole Beasley to this day, right? And he would just chirp his little chirp all the time, and I would just get sick of it. And I think I called him Trailer Park Travis. I don't know. I was just I was relentless to this dude. I'll admit, I was probably obnoxious at one point. I don't really care. But yeah, I ended up getting my entire Twitter account shut down forever. Literally, Twitter emailed me and they're like, "Sorry, it's done forever." And I appealed it. And I appealed it. What?
And you still lost your appeal.
Every single time. I appealed it 8 different times. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The only reason I was so attached to that Twitter account was because that was the one that Dak tweeted, right?
Yep.
So that was my sacred account. And thank God I have the actual tweet in a frame in my room. And I have it saved and everything. But that was the OG account. And I ended up having, hopefully Twitter, you're not listening, but I ended up having to get I got a new entire phone because I had a new IP address and everything. Cole Beasley fucked my shit up.
I still think that's hilarious. You and Cole Beasley had a little Twitter beef, and Cole Beasley got you locked down. I used to give you shit because me and you were neck and neck, with the followers, and you're like, I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna get you, and then
Right. I had like 5K at one point.
yeah, it's like you're in the middle of a game and you're about to win it on your, on your Xbox, and your kid comes through and turns the fucking power off, and you got to reset it and start all over again.
Fucking Cole Beasley.
Before you got to save. So Cole Beasley's the little shit that reset the goddamn PlayStation. But for the people in the chat, if you guys want to follow her, if you're not already following her, if you're not, I don't know what you're doing. But you've got at the THE and then Megs, MEGZ, and then EEE. Meg Z. Somebody said in the chat like Kelly and Dalton Schultz. Yeah, Dalton Schultz blocked me. I mentioned something about him not being a good blocker, and I didn't even say it like mean. I just said that he whiffed on a block, which is absolutely true, and I didn't tag him in it. I just said his name. The guy was obviously fucking looking for his name on Twitter and then fucking blocked me. Now, if that isn't about as soft as some Charmin toilet paper, I don't know what is. Obviously, the guy can't handle social media. It may not be.
But like my thing is like, why did Cole Beasley not block me? Why did he go straight to reporting me and shutting my shit down? Like that's what makes him even more of a little weasel.
Well, I
Cole
think
Beasley, if you're listening, we got some talking to do.
Cole Beasley, if this somehow makes it to Cole Beasley, Cole, you ever want to come on the show? You ever want to air your grievances? We can bring Megan back on here, and we can have this out. We can get the real story. Find out what really happened here and why she got under your skin, Cole. Trailer Park Travis. If that was it, then Cole, it is what it is, man. But anyway, it's always funny to me when we get, players are blocking fans and stuff for saying that. I get it if somebody's totally out of line and being disrespectful or whatever. But, when it's just a little jibber jabber because, Cole Beasley was a lot running his mouth about Dallas after he left. For somebody that didn't care about the Cowboys,
that's why I don't like him.
Sure did have a lot to say.
Right, like I don't have beef just to have beef. Like he ran his mouth after an organization like that gave him a second chance. Like he walked off. He was a walk-on, walked off, and then Clapper gave him another chance. Come on now. No, he don't have any right to be running his mouth. And he tried to do the same thing to Buffalo. Yeah, he's a weasel. I'm done.
I can't disagree with you there. The case is closed. The jury has spoken. The gavel has banged. Cole Weasley. That's his new name.
Cole Weasley, the Beasley Weasel.
Yep. Well, hey, thank you so much for jumping on tonight, coming on with them. I'm gonna close out the show, but hang on just a minute because I'm gonna talk to you before you leave. Got to talk to you for just a minute before you get out of here. But Cowboys Nation, thank you for tuning in. This was a great show tonight. Hey, we're going to raise our glasses and toast one more up for Cowboys Nation. Here is to 2023 being the best season since 1995. Hopefully we get our Super Bowl. And Cowboys Nation, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Salud. And that's going to do it for tonight. Make sure you tune in. Mike and Jimmy Dee got their show on Monday. You guys like and subscribe to the Cowboys Cave. Me and Mike are live every Thursday, 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time. Be here or not be here. But if you're not here, you're going to miss some good shit. So for now, we out. We're going to see y'all next week.